Hello and welcome! I'm Jay Kyle, and joined with me today is Hands of Death, Irving Favorman, and Kent Blacker. We are here and we are going to talk about Heroes of the Storm. Now, recently they just released new patch notes for PTR. They released those yesterday, August 10th, 2015. And this is the Monk patch. We are getting a new hero this go-around. Who's excited?
So excited for the Monk.
Yeah.
The Monk was my main character it still is my main character in Diablo 3, so I am so stoked to have this.
Absolutely.
He's fun.
It's going to be very good. So, Irv, now, remind me, have you played on the PTR as well? Have you got to experience this new patch yet?
No, I haven't touched it.
You haven't touched it yet? All right. You know,
I've just read the notes, and some of them are like I'm a little confused by, and then some of them are like, hey, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I'm definitely with you on that one. Let's go ahead and start with the rewards. The new mount all the Diablo users get. What is this thing? If you get a character to level 70 in Season 4 of Diablo, which is coming up, Diablo 3, you get a mount called Malthael's Charger? Or is it Malthael's something else? I don't know exactly what it's called.
Malthael's Charger, yeah.
Phantom. Malthael's Phantom.
Phantom?
Yep.
I thought it was
Phantom.
Charger.
You're a
Tyrael's
Charger.
It's Tyrael's
That's right.
Charger.
Yeah, Tyrael's Charger.
Yeah,
I wish I had.
so
we wish we had Tyrael's Charger.
That was a mount you
No.
So, I think this is a little bit interesting, simply because with the World of Warcraft rewards, all you had to do was have a top-level character. There was no, you've got to go out and do something. Well,
It's
the difference
during
was
the season.
Yeah, the difference
Like
though is
it's a
the
seasonal
season.
character.
Well, exactly. Like you and I, and Kent, and all of us, we all had top-level characters by the time this reward came out. We really didn't have to do anything. But Diablo players are all going to have to do something for this mount.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and it's
there's the
the
gem,
seasons
though.
are they're like what, like 3 or 4 months long, so it's not going to be hard to get to level 70, but it's something that you're going to have to put effort into on this time. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to do it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Personally, if it's for a mount, I will do it. I am there.
If I have all my friends with me, we're getting that XP boost that you get in Diablo, I'm totally there. But I mean, if it's on my own, just grinding out, I don't have little enough time as it is, so I don't know if I'm gonna be...
See, that's why I'm a little confused by it, because Blizzard should know, you know, that people have, especially Heroes of the Storm players are not MMO players, necessarily. It's a very different playstyle. MMO players, they can expect, all right, you're going to put a certain amount of time into this game. So, kind of putting that, connecting, well, I guess like you could probably say the same thing about Diablo players, though. They put quite a bit of time into that game.
Oh, they put so much time into the game. I mean, just the things that I've seen some of those Diablo players do on their videos and things is just insane. Like, what is it? The Paragon level, like 6,000 or however.
Yeah, you can get pretty far up there. It's
Look at the what?
yeah,
It's like Paragon level 200 and something.
yeah, right.
I think I've seen someone in the 500s on Paragon level in Diablo.
It's
nuts.
that's some pretty impressive.
I thought I passed you, Ken. Maybe I passed Kyle. I don't know.
You probably passed me. I don't play a whole
You
lot.
passed me a long time ago, Irv.
So speaking of Diablo, we've got a new map coming to Heroes of the Storm. What's that thing
Infernal
called?
Shrines.
Yes, the Infernal Shrines. Kent, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So the Infernal Shrines is has the same tile set as the last new map, Battlefield of Eternity, which a lot of people were just like,
I'm gonna stop you real quick. When you say same tile set, what do you mean by that?
it has the same kind of layout. Like it has the same
Art assets.
looks. Yeah, the art assets. So like it's like half heaven, half hell. The same kind of thing like that.
So you're saying that they essentially recycled the map and now they're putting different stuff on that because the last one was a 2-lane map, so.
Yeah, well, they're essentially taking that, making it into a 3-lane map. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, and then they put the shrines on there. I'm not complaining right now because it's beautiful. It looks great. I mean, but that was my first impression looking at it. Just like this looks like Battlefield of Eternity, but 3 lanes.
I have heard that the camps.
I've heard that it's also really big.
It is. It's. I wouldn't say that it's Cursed Hollow big. It is probably about around the same size as Dragonshire. So not huge, but big-ish. But
now,
yeah, it's so essentially the thing that you need to do on this map, the objective, is there are shrines that activate every about 2 minutes, and they activate. They spawn a bunch of little demon guys, and you're supposed to kill all of them. And when you kill 30, the first team to kill 30 gets a guardian, is what they're calling it. And it's guardian. It's a punisher. They're calling it punishers.
Yeah.
And they have certain affixes. So if anyone that plays Diablo is familiar with these affixes, they have the arcane frozen in the mortar, where the arcane they have the little spinny laser deals that I hate in Diablo.
Yep.
The frozen.
I would for those of you who hasn't played Diablo, I would and if you play Heroes of the Storm, Gazlo, his charged up laser beam. Imagine that always on, spinning around. That's what I would compare.
On a much smaller scale, though.
Yeah, a little bit smaller.
The frozen one just basically freezes you, deals damage, and the mortar just is a bunch of explosions. And this map is different in that the punishers will prioritize heroes over the structures. So you're going in.
That is new. That is new for Heroes of the
Storm. And they will jump on you. They will jump from a long ways away. It is insane how far they'll jump.
Now, previously, that has been a unique feature of Heroes of the Storm, where in Dota 2 and League of Legends, arguably the most popular MOBAs in the industry right now, they typically will favor attacking the heroes whenever possible. They want, whenever you get close to their objectives, you better be sure you want to be there, because otherwise they're going to hit you and you're going to hurt. So Heroes of the Storm has given the heroes the advantage up to this map. So that's going to be very different. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's interesting. It'll be fun to see. It'll be just the champions I play. It'll be fine because Illidan's just like, oh, evasion and dash away, like,
yes.
Whatever. So, like, obviously you're gonna have to fight these, and if it's just 2 people in that lane, I have a feeling if the things are strong enough, you'll get wrecked, which will be hilarious. So,
I have a feeling this will also be a heavy support map. You'll want to favor your supports on this one because they'll go after you. And you want some healing when they go after you.
Yeah,
they do some damage.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about how the supports are going to fit into this real quick. Previously, we see a lot of Malfurion, Storm Rage. We see a lot of Lili. Now, Lili is pretty reactive in her healing, and obviously her Jug is going to be very handy when your team is taking a whole lot of damage from these neutral objectives. How do you think Malfurion's going to be effective? Because he's very proactive with his healing. Or if you play a lot of Malfurion, what do you think?
Well, honestly, he's getting a buff in here that I don't know if we have mentioned, but they're increasing one of his talents that I don't even know if I take it. I think if there's an option between it and the Treants.
I think you do take that one, actually. It's the one where it boosts... well, I've seen you have it before.
I have had it before, but basically they're increasing the initial damage on this talent. It increases the initial heal of regrowth by 30% or 20% or something, and it's going up to 50%. That's a large amount, and that'll make him better for when people take spike damage and less reliant on the overtime effect of the dot, which isn't as strong. So it'll be better for this map, but still, I think Uther, people with large upfront heals, would be more powerful.
Your Uthers, your Rhaegars, maybe Kharazim the monk, but we're not going to talk about him yet.
Actually, let's talk about Kharazim. No, we can. Actually, this probably is a good time to transition over to that. Kent, you've played him. None of us has played Kharazim yet. Let's go through. Let's talk about him real quick. What is your first impression? Obviously, you mentioned that you played the monk in Diablo. Bringing him to Heroes of the Storm, how do you feel about that?
Oh my gosh, my monk is here. He's very interesting.
Monk, though?
Oh gosh.
Was it Dustin's monk?
No, I picked the monk first, but Dustin also picked the monk. So he's a much better monk than me. Dustin is a friend of ours, for those who don't know. He also plays all the games we play. Anyway, the most interesting thing about Kharazim is that you get to pick his trait as your level 1 talent. That's your level 1 talent choice. You have a choice between your Transcendence, your Iron Fist, and Insight is what they're called. Basically, it's damage, mana, and healing. I've tried a game on every single one of those. The damage build seems very lackluster to me at this point. I mean, I didn't do hardly anything. I still healed way more than the enemy healer.
Even with the damage build.
Even with the damage build. So I think that you'll be building him more as a healer, maybe as a solo support. I haven't quite got that far into
What
it yet.
do they
I
have
don't
him
know.
classed as in the
He's
game?
classed as a support.
He is? Okay. Because like I was looking at the damage build, and it actually looks like it fits really well with his kit, just looking at his kit from what I read. And
It fits well.
So
I don't know. His talents are kind of wonky, though. I mean, they feel like very much more dependent on your situation than the other ones do. Whereas like a lot of the other heroes, you pick an ability and you're like, okay, I'm gonna build this ability all throughout, and then a couple of supporting. This is more like, what do I need right now? I mean, I even picked most of the time I picked the healing totem because I needed it at that point. So it's very interesting. His heal is kind of an AoE heal. He heals nearby allied heroes, gives them a little bit of movement speed.
Very similar to Brightwing, is that right?
Yeah, but this is activated, and Brightwing's is passive.
Passive, yeah.
Yes.
So you'll need to be up front. He's a melee hero. He also has Radiant Dash, which you jump to an ally or an enemy or an ally. It can be an engage, it can be disengage, depending on how far you're in.
That's very similar to if you played League of Legends. Lee Sin the Blind Monk has an ability exactly like that. So they obviously it's a monk. It's going to be a monk thing. I wouldn't yell at Blizzard for stealing ideas. It's a MOBA for crying out loud. Everything's still
Right. and he's labeled as very high mobility. And whenever I first read Radiant Dash's tooltip, I was like, "Oh, cool! Is this like global? Can I like jump from here to all the way across the map? That'd be awesome."
Yes.
But it has
a global
range.
jump.
It has a range, and then I was disappointed. But
how big is that range exactly? What would you compare it to?
It's about the same range as the outskirts of Johanna's Condemn.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad at all. That's totally reasonable.
that's actually pretty small.
Yeah.
Is there a talent you can take that gives you a second charge on it, or do you naturally have one charge?
There's the only one that I remember off the top of my head. I have to go research it again, but they have a one where when you dash to an area, you reveal that area, including stealth heroes.
Very nice.
That would be nice.
So that is pretty nice, but that's the only one that I.
So now, is this a frontline support like Uther, or is this more of a backline Malfurion style?
This is very much in your face. You need to be up front and on the front lines because they're of your E ability. Your E ability is Deadly Reach. Your basic attack increases your attack speed and attack range by 100% for 2 seconds. And you can build into that. You can do a lot of damage with that. I mean, I went up to a tower and I got probably a third of the tower's health just with this one ability.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty strong.
That is very different and interesting. Now, his ultimates, he's got two very unique ones. His first one, Seven-Sided Strike, he becomes invulnerable, striking 7 times over 2 seconds in a large area, dealing % damage to each target's health, prioritizing higher health targets, sorry. That is an extremely DPS ultimate. That's something you would expect to see on an assassin or perhaps a warrior.
Right, and this also goes to his hybrid. He's very hybridized, where you can build him damage. You have that trait that you can do extra damage with every third basic attack.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have with it is you have to be very aware of your position and very aware of whenever you're putting it on, because if you ult and try to get that last shred of someone's health, they can just walk out of the area and they're fine.
Yep.
And you can't do anything because you're in a stasis for that amount of time as well, so you can't do anything.
Gotcha.
You can't cancel that ultimate at all?
No, it's just for 2 seconds you're sitting there.
And you're not jumping from target to target. If they leave that AoE, they're safe.
Yes.
Man, all right.
It's interesting.
So that's something to look out for when you see him on the Nexus.
Divine Palm is one that I took more often.
That's his second ultimate?
Yes, it
Heroic.
It reads, protect an allied hero from death. The next source of fatal damage within 3 seconds is prevented, and the target is instead healed for a large amount, which is about 3/4 of their health bar.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that sounds like an upgraded version of Rhaegar's ultimate.
It is an alternate version of it, where it's when they die. So like with Rhaegar's, you can just heal them no matter what. But it's when they die, so it's very twitchy. He seems like a very twitchy character. But I don't know. It's pretty fun. I like playing him a lot.
Absolutely, it sounds like it. Now that's Hans. What do you think? How's he going to fit into the Nexus? Who's he going to replace? Who's going to come out to counter this guy? What are your thoughts?
I mean, there's no other characters that are really like him precisely, so I don't feel like he's necessarily replacing anyone.
Mm-hmm.
His heals do seem really strong. I mean, especially Divine Palm. If that's healing them 3/4 of their health, that's substantial.
Absolutely.
So I think he's definitely going to be in the running for a strong support character, and with the damage that he can do, I mean, knowing that even if you go into a damage build for him with the healing kit, initially you're still going to out-heal other healers. I mean, that's just amazing to me. So I feel like you're going to see him healing a lot more.
Counter-wise, though, anyone that has a blind, so Lily, Joanna,
Yes.
they're going to negate a large portion of his healing because he does it based off of his third auto attack. You just
That is
toss
true.
a blind on him, it's like, oh, hey, I can't hit anyone, I can't heal anyone. So
That is true. And there are a large number of characters that do have blinds that would do that, so...
Yeah. Exactly.
Not to mention, a few of his abilities that let you do damage function as auto attacks, I wonder if blinds are going to completely negate those.
They
Because,
do. Blinds
yeah.
are very powerful against him.
There
I
you
did a
go.
match against a Lily earlier, and man, I was suffering hardcore on that one.
Yeah.
I can imagine so. That
So a
is-
strong character, but a lot of counters, it sounds like, then, Kent.
And that really speaks wonders to Blizzard's ability to balance a game. Coming very late into the MOBA field, they are showing us very strong contenders with these new champions and how well balanced they are right out of the gate.
Definitely.
Irv, you made a face.
I
Irv
do
doesn't
not
like
think that the new champions are balanced. I think that they're always a little bit stronger than intended.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's true.
I mean, I think that's a great way, one, to generate interest in the character, is to make it strong, and then it lets people see it and play it more often, and then they'll balance it back to a level that's comparable or even a little bit of a nerf.
Yeah, I can
And
see that.
The biggest thing that I also, or one of the bigger things I saw noticed about the monk. Sorry, I can't talk tonight. Is that he doesn't have any CC on him. He doesn't have any slows. Doesn't have any stuns. He just has that engage, and like you can't talent into any stuns, and so he's weaker that way. You're gonna need to have your tank or somebody else take up that CC field on there. But that seems to be also one of his weaknesses. Is there's absolutely no way you can slow or CC or anything.
I think in the current state of the game, that's a pretty substantial weakness. So you better plan your team comp very well if you're going to throw a monk. If you're going to throw this guy on your team.
Spar is in the chat room, and he says he thinks that the monk will be awesome with with a butcher or a Tyrael combo. What do you guys think about that?
My first thought is that with the damage he does, it can absolutely, combined with another damage hybrid tank or maybe specialist, it could plausibly take up the space of an assassin. So it would free up your team to maybe do a 2 warrior.
His healing is relatively high. I still need to. I don't know. Like I out healed a Malfurion on the other team, but of course all I really did was play AI. Like I didn't really go into any matches because the queue times are ridiculous for Monk right now. So
I can imagine everyone's trying to play him.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't know. I still don't know if he would work better in a single support or a double support combo. Because he does, you do need somebody that has that CC in there.
I mean, yeah, then you could go for a CC heavy warrior comp. Like, you could bring a Muradin and a Nubarak, and that would bring all the CC you need. You can get a decent amount of damage on both those two. Not full damage, but a decent amount, and then just use that. That would work well.
That sounds terrible just thinking about that. The thought of a Nubarak and
an excuse to bring out Muradin any time.
Oh, there you go.
Exactly. So
hammer time.
We're gonna go ahead and skip ahead. One thing I want to cover real quick, and it might not seem it was pretty short portion of the patch notes, but I think this is the dynamic bundles. What this is Heroes of the Storm previously, if you wanted to buy a bundle, which was a selection of mini heroes and maybe a few skins, perhaps a mount, You're paying for the whole bundle. You're getting all these things. However, some people want to try out a game before they buy it. So maybe they've played a couple hours. They've already bought a few heroes. So if you want to buy a bundle, maybe for a few select unique items in that bundle, but you already own some of the heroes or maybe some of the skins, you're paying double for those things. They didn't give you any sort of discount. That has changed now. Now, when you buy the bundle, they subtract a portion of that total cost depending on how many heroes, how many skins you've already got in there. So I just want to say that's awesome.
It's awesome. For those of us that accidentally bought bundles where we already had parts of it, but we didn't know because there was no indicator that you had parts of it. It sucks.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
They also said that they're looking into retroactively compensating you for that. I don't know if
that they don't know how to compensate it, or they haven't confirmed compensating it, also sucks. And then bundles that are only 2 items. So basically, if it's a champion and his skin, you will not get dynamic. I don't even know if you'll be able to purchase them. Actually, I think they said something about that. So like,
you'll be able to get the bundle, but you'll still be able to get the skin at that price, or the hero, or whatever.
Yeah. Like for example, I Twitch bought the Diablo bundle because I thought it included Tyrael's charger in there, because it did on their on the little advertisement. It was like, oh, get this bundle, and it was ending that day, and I was like, oh shoot, I really want that mount. I don't play Diablo, so I bought the thing, and then I realized it didn't have the mount, and I was kind of disappointed.
Tears.
It's just like, oh well, and they don't have a refund feature, surprisingly. So
yeah, all right. Well, we're gonna skip ahead. We're gonna talk about the nerfs, buffs, balance changes, patch notes. So
boy.
Oh boy.
Hans, what's the first thing you want to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of things to be covered, but I did see that they were giving some buffs to quite a few characters. That there are going to be a lot of changes made in the game. So I saw one of those was actually Kerrigan. So I'm just wondering if it's going to be a good enough buff to bring her back into play more often. What do you guys think about that?
I'm scrolling down to see.
Oh my gosh,
just
Kerrigan
thinking
buff.
about it, it's for her pull, right? If I'm not mistaken, that's with the buffs too.
That's one of them.
Yes,
They've also buffed her passive. Her shield now lasts for 8 seconds longer. It was 12, now it's up to 20.
That's annoying.
Right.
No, I don't think Kerrigan's that strong in the current meta. She has a stun, but it's not a well usable stun. Like, you can get it off if the other team's kind of foolish, but or if it's paired with another stun. Like, I guess if she was to use it right at the end of like a Kael'thas or a Jaina slow, it could be effective, but
it's very team dependent.
Yeah, it's team dependent. I don't think she's personally that strong. Like, I've been wrecked by her. I've wrecked her a few times. It's just more down to the player. Definitely.
Right. Well, they definitely removed quite a few talents for her, and then replaced with new talents. So she's had quite a bit of change. Like, for example, at level 16, now there's Essence for Essence that you can use. You activate it to steal 10% of the enemy hero's health and gain twice that amount as an assimilation shield.
So
do you think
blood for blood,
that's
but better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Well, looking aside from her her damage and her ability kind of tuning is more what I'd call that. I think the buff to her shield is the most substantial one. That plus getting blood for blood, the upgraded version. They're trying to... right now, Kael'thas and Jaina are the biggest damage dealers in the game, which we'll talk about those two in here in a bit. But one of the problems, one of the struggles for melee heroes is they can't keep up. They can get kited back by Jaina's slows or Kael'thas's stun right there. So giving a melee assassin more survivability, I think is we're going to see a little bit more of her. Maybe not in the upper tiers, but definitely in Hero League.
I mean, a lot of the melee assassins have a decent amount of mobility. You think Illidan, he has this dive that you can even talent to dive onto allies. I don't know why you would take that talent. Don't take that talent. He also has dashes. You can take 2 dashes, though that's more of a combat thing. Let's see. Zeratul has his blink.
Yep.
I can't think of too many more melee assassins.
Yeah.
Thrall has his Wind Fury.
Oh,
yeah, and he's got a root, so he can root you and then run away.
Although I'd argue that Thrall, like, he's interesting. He's a weird character.
We'll talk about him.
I think he's clunky.
We'll talk about him as well.
I like him. I like him a lot, but he's clunky.
Yeah.
They also buffed her Maelstrom. It does some more damage, which increases her shield, because that's how her shield works. For those who aren't aware, I mean, her shield works based on her damage. The more damage she does, the more shield that she has, and now it lasts for a lot longer.
Yep.
So that's one of her big strategies. Is you go in there, you do her maelstrom, you have all this shield, you're doing all this damage into a big old team fight, but.
So speaking of going in and doing all your damage, let's talk about Jaina Proudmoore, the Frost Mage Assassin, Blizzard's #1 female pick in Hero League right now. It's very hard to see a game without a Jaina in it on one of the two sides. And what are they doing to her?
They decreased her cooldown on Ring of Frost, I know, from 100 seconds to 80 seconds.
That's nothing to shake a stick at.
And also, whenever you pop down her water elemental, it no longer does any damage or does her chill onto
That's the big one.
Although I never played Jaina Proudmoore. I've been against her almost every single freaking match, which is annoying. Like it's really annoying when you see the same assassins every single time. It's Kael'thas Jaina, but no, she didn't do like. I never have been hit by the water elemental. I've never had it popped on me. It just shoots me for tons of damage.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I don't see that as that big of a nerf. Like yes, it's great if you can pop her down, but
I'll go ahead and say this as a Jaina player, and I know Kenton and Hans both played this as well, but the elemental does a substantial amount of damage, and more than the damage, you start with your elemental, it applies your passive. Then every ability after that is doing bonus damage. So that's where it really comes from. So the water elemental not only does it no longer do damage, but it no longer applies your passive. So that is going to take away from Jaina's burst, especially against large groups of players, where she can drop down that elemental and immediately follow up with a Cone of Cold and a Blizzard. And depending on your Cone of Cold talents, you might be there for quite some time, taking all that Blizzard damage, and you're shooting off Frost Bolts, and the enemy team is coming in because you're slowed beyond recognition. So, while it's not going to solve all the problems, we're still going to see plenty of Jaina Proudmoore. I'm feeling that this is definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, they're just stepping right now.
The Ring of Frost, though, that's still going to keep people there.
Yes.
And I think that does apply or it is applying a damage debuff, maybe with a talent to everyone in there from all damage sources, so her entire team's going to do more damage. You put him in the Ring of Cold, Kael'thas drops down a Phoenix, gone. Drops down
but the thing is,
newly increased range Pyroblast, gone.
So Kyle, as a Jaina player, the reduction of Ring of Frost, the 20-second cooldown reduction, is that going to make you pick Ring of Frost more, or are you still going to pick water elemental every time?
I think I'm going to go ahead and say it's not going to be every time anymore. I think I'm going to think about the team I'm going up against. If it's melee heavy, I'm probably going to do Ring of Frost, because I'm not going to get that initial slow to keep those melee characters off me. However, that being said,
you can time one of your abilities with your water elemental and still get that slow off.
You can. Generally, if they're within range of your abilities, you're kind of in the danger zone, especially late game. If you're close enough to Cone of Cold the Butcher, there's a good chance that he's going to get everything off on you, and unless you get some backup or you're close enough to a gate, you're going to die. It's going to be very difficult. So, Ring of Frost would absolutely stop that. And if characters like the Butcher, and now we've got the Monk that is very melee heavy, Ring of Frost is starting to look a little bit more tasty.
Well, right. I mean, they're saying even in the developer comments that Jaina loses some of her burst potential unless she chooses Ring of Frost.
Yeah.
Because Water Elemental is going to be more focused on producing sustained damage.
So, like, say, for example, Avala is a great pick to use the Water Elemental against, because you can just set it down on her, and she's got to run away from this thing or kill it, and while she's killing that, she's not killing your healer or not killing the other assassins. So, they both definitely have viability now. While I would have liked to see some decrease in numbers on Jaina, it's a step, just like you guys said. So, next we'll move on to the second, or I would argue the best assassin in the game right now, prior to this patch, and now what are they doing? They're buffing him. I don't understand.
Not quite.
Now, I'm going to read verbatim the developer's comments on this one.
Interesting retooling.
Very interesting. Now, let me read what Blizzard has to say before we go into this. Blizzard says, prior to these changes, Kael'thas has had a high win rate, but his win rate wasn't alarming. Instead, we're focused on Kael'thas' current gameplay, as it feels very set in stone. And we'd like players to have the option to be creative. We're smoothing out his power curve and making Pyroblast a more enticing choice. So, for someone with a good win rate, that seems like an interesting pick to put so much love and care into this guy.
I wouldn't call it love and care. I mean, I don't know. People have been kind of freaking out about the Kael'thas changes when they really shouldn't. All it's doing is they've buffed Flame Strike a little bit. They've buffed his Gravity Lapse a little bit, but what they did was they nerfed Living Bomb, and then they nerfed his Living Bomb build. I mean, they completely removed what was that talent that they removed? I don't even know what it was. It was
Shield?
no, it was very.
They did remove Spell Shield and then they changed it to something else.
No.
I don't know what talent they removed, but I do have to say, like they're eliminating the Living Bomb build, but that he was ridiculous.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The Living Bomb build was pretty much the go-to if you play KT. This is the build you go. Is that right?
It is the only build. Yes.
Prior to this patch.
Yes.
So, what builds do you think you're going to see more of now that they've kind of made it less desirable and buffed the other builds? What do you think we're going to see from KT?
I have no idea.
I mean,
the talent that they removed, going back, the talent they removed was Ignite, and that's the one where Flame Strike also applies Living Bomb to all heroes that aren't affected by it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
but they also made
that's
some
big
other
power
changes,
strike.
like it pops twice now.
Yes,
or it
you can
pops
pick
for
a
more
talent where
damage.
Flame Strike will activate twice, initially and then after a second.
And then it's actually a bigger radius too. So
If you use his passive.
if they're stacked up. I honestly think he's just going to be another massive AoE build. It's not going to be Living Bomb, but it's going to be his Flame Strike, because Flame Strike can hit twice. So it's just Flame Strike, drop a stun, everyone else stuns, Flame Strike will pop again, throw a Pyroblast on him, because the range is increased, so you can run away and do it.
Yeah, and I'm going to make a comment on that range increase on the Pyroblast. KT is super squishy, so typically he's gone to go back to heal before the end of a fight. So if he's able to very safely launch off a Pyroblast, which in most cases, unless you get ulted by Nerzim or Uther or a few others, it's going to hit and it's going to do an incredible amount of damage. So,
well, the thing with Pyroblast still is there's many ways to negate it, and Phoenix will still be picked every single time. The only thing that'll make Pyroblast more popular, and I don't even know if it will, but is increase the cooldown on Phoenix.
That's a very good point. The cooldown on Phoenix is extremely low.
I like Pyroblast. I think it's cool.
See, I'm gonna go.
Cool.
I don't
it's a
play
great
Kael'thas.
flavor one. It's great, but the one that you need to be choosing is Phoenix.
Is
because of
Phoenix.
the zoning
It's-
power and all of the
zoning.
damage
It just
goes.
does a ton of damage, and it's a great tool. It's effectively a wall. Speaking of walls, the upcoming Rexar probably has the ability to prevent people from walking anywhere, because both him and Misha block
Movement.
block movement.
Nice.
Little
We
hint
are
for
very
next
much
time.
looking forward to him.
Oh, another thing about the new map. Sorry to go back to it, but all those little demons, they body block you, and it's so hard to move around.
Ooh.
It is so whenever you're doing that. But anyway,
So let's talk about someone that can help move around the enemy. Jim Raynor.
Jim Raynor.
Raynors
Jim Raynor.
Raiders. Yep.
Getting a buff.
Joe already played him great.
I know, right?
Right?
Maybe we should put him back
Joe's
into our
happy.
comp.
Maybe we should.
So let's talk about that. Are we going to see more Jim Raynors in comps? Because let's talk about his buffs.
Well,
So
ridiculous.
first off, before we go into Jim Raynor, let's talk about a very core talent that Raynor players have, and that's Seasoned Marksman. That's the one where every 6 minion kills, you get a permanent +1 damage to your auto attack. They buffed that. Let me scroll up. Seasoned Marksman stacks. Every time you kill a hero, you get 3 stacks instead of the previous 2. So that's gonna unless I'm mistaken, that's gonna encourage more team fighting and less staying in lane, avoiding other people. Or do you think it's still gonna be the same?
It's gonna pretty much act the same. It's gonna be less roaming, if anything, because it no longer functions off of like minion camp neutral minions or event spawned minions. So you'll actually get less. If you think about it, most maps have a lot of event spawned minions, and neutral minions are a big factor in it. You're gonna get less of the buff, and they're trying to mitigate that by increasing the amount on heroes, which will make lane killing power more important, at least if you're gonna take that talent.
So maybe less solo Gym Rainers and more solo support, double assassin, solo warrior Gym Rainers.
Yeah, that'd be good. Or a Rainer that's in a lane you know is going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So bring him along in the 4-person lane that you often have, and make sure you get a few kills to make it worth it. You know, pair him up with the 2 stuns, and he can do a decent amount of damage.
Yeah, he's an auto attack hero for sure.
Yes.
Still.
Right.
The problem
would be in the auto attack.
Attacks too.
He did get a pretty huge buff to his damage on his basic attack, in my opinion.
Yeah, 10%.
Just the issue is he doesn't have any CC really. Yes, he has a pushback, and you can talent that to slow. You can talent it to stun. You can talent it to do a ton of things, but it's a pushback. That's not going to help you engage on anyone. That's going to push them away from fighting in lane. It's a getaway mechanic, really.
Essentially, all you do with your penetrating round is if you have a choice, or like if you have the kill on them, that's when you'll use it. But
yeah, I use it to finish off a kill. So he's not going to be seen more because he doesn't fit the meta of heavy CC and burst.
Yes.
He's a great fight, but...
Yeah. So, next we've got Asmodan.
Dunk Modan.
Well, no, they're changing that. They're like, hey, we love Dunk Modan. We love you building up your stacks every time you get minion kills off of your Q. But he's got other builds. So they have buffed Minion Modan. But
they've, the important thing is they've still kept Dunk, or Asmodunk. The Asmodunk build is still there.
They haven't touched it. Unless I'm mistaken, they really haven't affected that build at all.
No.
It's still just as good as it has been.
So they buffed his mercenary build, which just takes less mana. There's a lot more talent you can talent into it. I still think you'll see a lot of the dunk build over and over again.
Well, the dunk build is more skill-based. Being able to land and time those last hits, which typically you don't need in this game. So, players that aren't used to that might have a little bit of trouble.
Well, but you would still see it because people will see it in the pros, and they want to get better as Modan, and so that's the build that they'll go.
And that's what we're about. We're about getting better.
The thing with the Dunk Modan, like not touching Dunk Modan, then buffing everything else, is you're really just buffing the Dunk Modan. It's like, great, so now the phase when he's weak, when he's building up to strong dunks, he's stronger.
Well, to be
he's gonna
fair,
have stronger minions. He's going to have
the majority of the buffs
already annoying to deal with.
The majority of the changes to Asmodan were to his talents, not to his core abilities. So I don't think that's going to happen at all, because the minions, while they did get a slight buff, I think it was needed. They were really useless in team fights, and it's really hard to have a player that just pushes without any sort of influence on a team.
True.
I mean, that's definitely true.
So next we've got Nazebo, and let me first say, out of all the changes to Nazebo, the removal of Sprint is my favorite.
I know, right?
But the Sprint was so strong, and I loved using it.
Well, I'm sure. I wish I had a Sprint on any of the champions I use.
Yeah, there are so many Nazebos that have only gotten away from me because they ran really fast.
Exactly.
You're
like, I can't keep up. They're just gone.
Yeah, it's aggravating.
Other than that, not like a whole ton of huge changes to him.
They took away Mule.
Well, they took Mule away from everyone, and Mule was stupid.
I loved Mule.
Now, Mule prolongs games.
You were on Sky Temple, you did Mule every single time.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
I liked Mule. I liked Mule, and I thought it was interesting and fun, but it felt ineffectual if someone was actually attacking the thing.
It really was a waste of a talent, because there are the other talents you could pick there that might be better. But,
Right.
So those are the biggest changes to
They also buffed his Ravenous
Nazebo.
Spirit. So
You hardly ever see that.
More.
I mean,
You used
never
to see it all
that.
the time, and then they nerfed it and they made more heroes that were able to knock him out of it, and that's why you're seeing more Gargantuans and things.
Yeah. And Gargantuans is all fine and
Actually,
good.
I was playing today, and for the first time in forever, I saw a Nazebo that did not have Gargantuan. He had
That Ravenous Spirit does a lot of damage.
Well, I was honestly just so shocked. I was just like, wait, he took that? Why'd he take that? And I was like, oh, he probably read the patch notes and trying to get used to it.
No, that's a great thing to do. That is an incredible thing to do.
Yeah.
So for those not aware, again, Ravenous Spirit is one of Nazebo's ults where he has to stand and channels a big old spirit, does tons of damage. He has to stay in one spot. If a hero knocks him out of that, then he is out of his ult for the entire duration.
Knock up, stun,
stunned,
polymorph,
dazed, whatever that new thing is.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Or they can just kill him, or they can just burst him down because he's staying in place.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and
Tassadar.
That's why, even so, just on this subject of Nazebo still, I don't think we're going to see much of a switch away from Gargantuan because that sticks around after you die.
Yeah.
Yes.
And without Sprint, he's going to die a hell of a lot more, at least when I see one, because I really dislike that guy.
in that one game that I played Nazebo with you guys, I intentionally, like whenever I knew I was going to die, I intentionally hit R just in case. Just like, okay, at least I can do something after I die.
Oh, I love intentional death champs. Tyrael for the win.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uther.
Anyway,
They
Tassadar.
have their place.
Yeah, Tassadar. Okay, I'm gonna start off on Tassadar because I thought his changes were a little bit weird. So the first thing they're doing is they're lowering the they're raising the cooldown on his visibility thing, which I thought was well deserved. That's a lot of free vision and decloak reveal for such a small cooldown.
So good though.
It was good, but I'm of the opinion that this nerf was needed. They are reducing the mana cost of his shield, which I think is also good because compared to actual healing supports, he really couldn't hold a torch next to those guys. You'd almost so they're putting him in the place where he should have been in the first place, and that's with Psystorm. Mana cost is decreased. He can shield more often. He's got he's more of and with his kit at this point, he's more of like a specialist support hybrid, kind of like how the monk is a assassin support hybrid.
Tassadar is usually built for damage. I mean, I don't think this will change much of his win rate or his pick rate or anything. What they need to do with Tassadar, what I'm waiting for, is a complete talent rework to where you can build, you can be a true hybrid, where you can build to be support, you can build to be damage, or you can build like a hybrid in between. But as it is, I don't think this does much for him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think you're right. I don't think we're going to see any more Tassadars just because it costs 10 or 5 less mana, however much less mana to cast his shield.
He'll still hold the same place he used to. He'll still be the dual support, the off support that can kind of shield you from damage and do lots of damage himself. But he's not gonna move in his win rate or anything.
No way. He's not gonna get picked over the monk. That's for sure. Lastly, we've got Leoric. That's the last one I really want to talk about. Reading all of his nerfs, they all do exactly one thing. What is that?
They just reduce his heals while he's dead.
Now,
right?
I'm a little confused by that. I've never played Leoric. I didn't know he could heal while he was dead, so...
The healing while you're dead reduces your death time.
Yeah, it reduces your death timer, and basically all of his abilities he does do that while he's dead. That's why they follow around and spam stuff on you and slow you. And he's just really, like, early game, that's a little strong in my opinion. I think it's a little overpowered.
Well, all game it is. And I think one of the things that this will do, which I'm so happy about, is that it will actually put in place a penalty for dying for Leoric. Because we're getting so many Leorics that have, like, 15, 20, 30 deaths just on the one Leoric. Because they don't go anywhere when they're dead, but there doesn't seem to be much of a punishment, because when they're dead, right as it is right now, they are up within half of the time that a regular hero is whenever they die. So, and also his skeletal swing no longer deals more damage to structures, which prevents a backdoor build, which is great.
As much as we love our backdoor builds.
Much as we love our backdoors.
Who doesn't love a good backdoor? Well, that's a great place to end our stream. So overall, we're excited. This is going to be a good patch.
It is.
For sure, it'll be interesting to see how it affects our game.
I hope it changes the meta pretty drastically. I don't think it will, but I wish it did.
I agree. Overall, this game needs a meta overhaul. There's too many best in slots, for lack of a better term. There's too many obvious choices or necessary choices that... And that all changes as we add more heroes.
It makes it get stale, and it changes, you know, it takes a few months for a meta to change, but it definitely feels boring right now. I'm sick of seeing freaking Jane and Kael'thas. It's not interesting.
So, Hopefully less of those two, but probably not. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Good stuff.
So with our awkward intro, I've been Jay Kyle. We've joined with me, Kent, Hans, and Irving. We're going to post this on our YouTube, so feel free to check it out. Progression Gamers on YouTube. I'm Jay Kyle 37 on Twitch TV, and then we've got the Filthy Casual PG as well.
That's me.
Like our video, subscribe if you liked it. Leave a nasty comment about how our mothers are promiscuous.
Whatever you too. Irv, what's your stream?
Oh goodness, Moonbear96 at twitch.tv. Don't really stream that much because I can't get it working right, but if I ever do.
Yes! So, thank you guys again for joining us, and have a fantastic whatever time of the day it is.
Yes, that is
Bye-bye.
right. Bye-bye.
Cheers, y'all.